Hey guys, welcome to this extremely on-time Q&A video that wasn't supposed to be here 40,000 subscribers ago. I ended up getting quite a few questions, so let's not waste any time and jump right into them. I've ordered all the types of questions into categories because I am extremely fun at parties, so let's start with the one everyone cares about. Bad Weapon Academy questions. What criteria do you use for figuring out which weapons to make an episode of Bad Weapon Academy for? Two things go into deciding a Bad Weapon Academy episode. The first being, of course, is the weapon bad enough in the first place to qualify for an episode? That's the easy part. Once I decide that, I try to formulate a strategy in my head, usually based on what other weapons the bad weapon of the day will synergize with. Then I do some testing to see if my hypothesis is actually viable, and if it is, we have an episode ready to go. And if not, I'll either try something else or throw my hands in the air and call a spade a spade. This one's a two-parter. Number one, do you plan on doing more Bad Weapon Academy? Of course. It's kind of keeping me alive right now. 2. On average, how long does it take to make the Bad Weapon Academy videos? It depends on the weapon due to the testing phase I mentioned earlier. Some weapons I already had experience with, like the Classic or the Brass Beast, and that's why those episodes came first. Some weapons, like the Caber, already have a tested method, so that episode was pretty easy to make. The whole process of script writing, recording audio, gathering footage, and finally editing can take a pretty long time. There's a reason I only release one of these a month. How long do you think the Bad Weapon Academy series will last? Well, I've made a video that details all the weapons I'm going to be covering on it, so once I run out of those weapons, then yeah, the series is over. A couple of people asked me what I think the worst weapon in TF2 is, and I would have to say probably the hot hand, actually. Like, I know it's supposed to be a joke meme weapon, but it's incredibly unsatisfying, the boost you get doesn't last very long, and you have to connect both slap hits to do just worse damage than the stock fire axe, so why bother? It's just really bad. Learning about these niche strategies is pretty fun to watch, so it makes me wonder, would you ever consider continuing this series for other games? Maybe even branch out into an entirely different genre. That would really have to depend on if I can even find a game series that's applicable to that I also enjoy. I mean, the new Doom games are fun, and those have some pretty bad weapon mods, so I guess I could try that out. I would probably need a better GPU that can record Doom Eternal better, because mine just is not cut out for that right now. Could you do an experimental weapon academy, taking weapon concepts and showing how to beat or use those? Probably not, that's just not very practical. I think coming up with potential fixes for underpowered and overpowered weapons is way more interesting to talk about. What made you decide to start Bad Weapon Academy, and why did you start with the Classic? I started the series because it kind of bugged me how many weapons just collected dust in backpacks not ever getting used because they're bad or underwhelming, and I thought I could do something about that by showing people how to use them to their fullest potential. I started with the Classic simply because I have a lot of experience using it and I really like it. When are we gonna get a tier list? I don't know, I could probably do that in a stream sometime. That sounds like it'd be fun to do, I just didn't know people still liked tier lists. I thought that was kind of a dead meme at this point. What is the best worst weapon in your opinion? Of the weapons I've covered, probably the Classic, but I'd maybe put the Liberty Launcher in a close second. From what I haven't covered, I've heard the Heater is pretty good. Do you think there are any unsavable weapons in their current state? No weapon is unsavable given an update rolls around, but in their current state? Yeah, there's a few, and they're the ones that haunt me because I don't know how to write episodes for them. Now we're moving on to general TF2 questions. Oh boy, the answer to all three of these is the same. What is your least favorite secondary in TF2? What makes you rage the most? And if you were to choose to remove one thing from TF2, what would it be? It's the Scorch Shot. I hate it that much. I want it to go away. How long have you been playing TF2, and which past update were you the most hyped for, and why? I've been playing since around the Pyromania update, so sometime in 2012. And as for hype updates, I'd say Jungle Inferno was probably the big one once they announced the prospective nerfs. I was so happy to see the insta-win Danger Shield and Sandman finally kneecapped. What was your favorite thing to do when you started playing TF2? When I started, I really liked just fucking around with my friends in community servers, usually empty 2-fort servers or ones running custom maps. I kinda miss that. If you had an ability to go back in time and change the results of the Heavy vs Pyro battle, Would you do it? First of all, I have the ability to time travel dinosaur theme park. Second of all, probably not. I think we kind of take for granted just how much better Pyro's flamethrowers and air blast are. The Dragon's Fury is also a really fun weapon that I get a lot of mileage out of. Still, Heavy is my least played class, and I would have liked to see what he would have gotten. We can only hope. Do you hate Pyros? I hate how Pyros can get away with being really stupid or really unskilled a lot of the time. A lot of times when I die to a Pyro, I feel like I'm being punished for just walking around the map, and he's being rewarded for just walking forward. It's fun to play, but I can really hate fighting them sometimes. What's your favorite skin, TF2 or CSGO? Well, I don't play CSGO, so I don't know any of the skins there, but I really like geometrical teams. Neo Tokyo is also a good one. What do you think is the most overpowered and underpowered class? The most overpowered is objectively medic, and the most underpowered is objectively spy. Don't even fight me on that. What do you think is the best cosmetic for each class? Cool Cat Cardigan, Veteran's Attire, Brigade Helm, Bearded Bombardier, Hunter Heavy, Sheriff Stetson, Burly Beast, 5-Month Shadow, and the Pirate Spy Hat. What was your first strange weapon, and does it hold any sentimental value to you? I actually checked my backpack.tf history for this one, and found that my first ever strange was a strange Tribalman's Shiv, and I traded that away. The oldest strange I still own is, I believe, my Medigun, which I find surprising as I don't really play that much medic. Most of the stranges I've held on to do hold sentimental value, and my first hat certainly does. Favorite map? I'm always down for a round of Badwater or Upward. I'm also a fan of Mountain Lab and Process. A lot of people ask me what my favorite class and my main is, and that would be Sniper. He's my favorite, even though 8 years in, I'm still not as good with him as I could be. What is your opinion on CP Yukon? Yukon is a fine map, but I almost never get matched into it. I feel like a lot of people just don't have it selected for some reason. Question. What's your question? I teleported bread. What? What do you think is the most underrated weapon in TF2? Or what's your favorite weapon that people consider bad? I think this one's a toss-up between the Ambassador and the Scottish Resistance. And I think I have to give it to the Ambassador because a lot of people seem to think it's basically worthless. Every spy main in the world made it seem like it was utterly useless after the nerf, and then once I actually got my strange and started using it, I had no idea what the hell they were talking about. Spy being able to do 100 damage from mid to close range being where he's already seeing the most action, is a big deal. Especially when you can see enemy health, it makes you a way more effective assassin in the right situations, and the downsides aren't so bad that it's useless if you're not getting headshots. Do you like the map Junction, and how often do you play on community servers? I don't care much for Junction, it's too cramped for me. I'll usually play on community servers if there is a particular custom map I feel like playing, or if the hackers are getting really bad on that particular night, and of course when I play competitive matches. Are there times where you've wanted to stop playing TF2 or making TF2 content? I've taken a couple breaks from TF2 over the years, but they've never stuck for more than a few months, and I always end up coming back. I actually think taking breaks is healthy. It helps you avoid burnout without abandoning the game entirely. As for TF2 content, well, you can see that before the videos started to take off as much as they did, there was a pretty big upload gap. I was just under the impression that this channel was a waste and that no one really cared, but here I am now. Why do you not main Engie? I just like Sniper more. I do play a good amount of Engie though, especially Battle Engie. Have you ever been a tryhard on a mostly friendly map such as 2 Fort, High Tower, etc.? Not to my memory, except maybe the Halloween ones when I'm trying to get my contracts done. I usually just leave friendlies to do their thing. I don't really participate in the friendliness as much as I did when I was younger, outside of small one-on-one interactions in the middle of matches. Those are still fun. What's your favorite weapon? It's too hard to pick one, so I'll just say my favorites for each class. Cleaver, Direct Hit, Detonator, Loose Cannon, Brass Beast, Widowmaker, Crossbow, Classic, and Let's. These aren't all my go-tos, but they are my favorites. What got you into TF2, and why do you keep playing it? And how do I bring people into TF2? YouTube videos. I know that's rich coming from a TF2 YouTuber, but I actually first saw TF2 gameplay from a video by the Yogscast, and I was surprised by seeing such a colorful, cartoony shooter when I was so used to seeing bland-looking, brown and gray, Call of Duty-style games. And hearing it was free had me hooked. I was like, oh, I gotta try this game now. Do you think that the game will die? When do you think that the next major update will arrive? And what's your opinion on the future of TF2? If you ask me, as long as the game is free, it's going to be fine. As far as updates go, I actually wouldn't mind if Valve took a break from the supermassive Jungle Inferno style updates and had more small Blue Moon style updates. Updates that can still have things like weapon balances, but they don't bust the team's balls too hard. I do think that their previous promise of a heavy update has locked them into that though, so we'll have to see. It could be a long wait though. TF3 when? After Team Fortress Episode 1, Team Fortress Episode 2, and Team Fortress Alex. What's your take on CP Snowplow? It's kinda confusing, but I am new at the game. Do you play combo Flare Pyro or do you play Flamethrower Heavy Pyro? I definitely prefer to play combo or flank Pyro. It's the only way I can play Pyro without feeling bad for being totally brainless. Do you like to use the Beggar's Bazooka? Yeah, it's fun, but it's also really inconsistent. Do you prefer the Bizarre Bargain or the stock rifle? The Bizarre Bargain is objectively better in most cases, but that's part of why I like to use the stock. It keeps things a bit more fair. What items do you think should make it into the heavy update? Something passive in the primary slot like a riot shield to make fat scouting or even buffalo steak heavy more viable, or maybe some kind of railgun or mortar cannon. I don't know, there's only so many ways you can tweak a minigun. What weapon deserves a nerf or buff in your opinion? Nerf the Scorch Shot, buff the Caber. If you could press a button that would just remove the pyro, would you? No, but I would make it actually take skill. Opinions on the Dragon's Fury. It's what the flamethrower should have been in the first place. It's such a shame it's been kind of inconsistent ever since Blue Moon. What weapon do you think gets too much praise and which one gets too little? People give the Flog way too much credit when it's always the Scorch Shot and Pocket Medic that are doing all the hard work. At least for any Flog Pyro that's actually stomping. For too little, I'd say the Pain Train. People sleep on it when it gives you a really good upside for a really nothing downside. What is your bank account password? Why did you decide to name this channel FishStickOnAStick? FishStickOnAStick is just this goofy sounding thing that I came up with in middle school, and I thought it was too funny not to use for something, so I used it for my YouTube channel. What weapon do you consider the best? Probably the Crusader's Crossbow, because it makes the strongest class in the game even stronger at any range, and actually capable of reliably defending himself. Have you tried the Jetpack? It's so fucking good. I've tried it a few times, but it feels a bit clunky and slow. It can be fun, but I usually prefer to use the detonator. Have you ever decided to just shrug and go WM1 Pyro on a 24/7, 30+ slot server for shits and giggles? That's the only way I can stomach playing TF2. Love the chaos and how it doesn't matter if I'm doing well or not. Maybe a couple times, but not recently. That's actually the part I don't like about Pyro. How to get good? Ask me when I'm good. Opinion on how Valve has handled TF2 over the years. It's been a roller coaster. A lot of updates have been amazing, some have been questionable, and the radio silence is fucking infuriating. I understand that the way Valve works is people work on what they want to, but TF2 is a goldmine, and it seems like they just don't fucking care. What is your favorite game outside of Team Fortress 2? Oh gosh. It's a tough one. I mean, little kid me would absolutely answer Zoo Tycoon, or maybe Donkey Kong Country, because I've got so many good memories with those games. But I have been adoring Doom Eternal lately. It is so fucking fun. What is the best sniper loadout for doing high body shot damage? Just equip the Machina, and be prepared to lose the respect of anyone you're fighting. What's your favorite taunt kill? Pow! Ah! Also, how rich are you to get so many professional killstreak stranges? Trust me when I say I am by no means rich. Quite the opposite, in fact. I've barely ever spent money on this game. I just got a bunch of mostly completed professional killstreak kits from a friend, and I've slowly sold those off at a profit over the years to get a bunch of good shit. And most of my professional killstreaks are either from this bundle, or else so cheap that it doesn't matter. The more expensive ones, like my sniper rifle, I had to save for, and not even a little bit. Let's move on to some more general questions. Cats or dogs? Why or why not? Well, I have both, but I guess I consider myself more of a cat person. They're just kinda low maintenance. What's your favorite artificial and natural drink? Coke, and I suppose water doesn't get much more natural than that. How are you? I'm surviving. Who's Joe? Apparently the president. Soft or hard-boiled eggs? I don't like eggs to begin with. The smell makes me sick. How are you doing with COVID? Genuinely better than I would be, thanks to you guys. What's your favorite genre of music? Old people music? Classic rock mainly with a bit of 90s thrown in there, some metal. Will you marry me? Judging by your profile picture, you are a very small cat, so I'm going to say no. What goals do you have in mind for a career you want to go for? Working with animals in some capacity would be ideal, but if that doesn't happen, I suppose I could do this for a living. Are you am gay? No. Please let me out of your basement. It's been 3 months since you arrested me here. No. Can I be the last question? No. Have you ever gone into TF2 trading? If so, when did you start? I haven't done too much high tier trading. The most expensive shit I've gotten is my whole sniper kit, and that took a long time. Especially the professional killstreak kit for my festive sniper rifle. I got my unusual killer solo taunt at a hell of a bargain. I think that was before the price got set for it, actually. Again, I just got all that through killstreak fabricators I got given by a friend. If you had to guess what's the least used hat in the game, what would it be? Aside from hats where there's only one in existence, God, maybe a lot of the robo hats? Those are almost exclusively really ugly, and you'd only ever wear them if you had a nice unusual effect on them. What's the most fun you had while playing a subclass? Demo Knight, Battle Engineer, etc. There was this one stream I did on my main channel where I went pretty huge as Battle Engie, and one guy in chat said I was one of the best engineers he'd seen. That was something of an ego boost. Had a pet before? I have 4 now. They're assholes, but I love them. I am a nerd when it comes to computers, and I'm very curious to know about your computer specs. Here they are. They're not as good as they could be, but maybe now they'll be better since Elon Musk has tanked cryptocurrency so I can finally buy a new fucking GPU. Are you black? And if so, why? Oh my god, you can't just ask people why they're black. Are you real? Less and less every day. Thoughts on mangoes? Not my thing. I prefer a lot of other fruits. What's the best type of taco and why is it soft shell? Also not really a taco guy, but if I had to guess your perspective, it's because they aren't as messy. There's no clean way to eat a hard shell taco because you can't exactly control where it's gonna crunch and cause a mess. Can you do a face reveal? No. Are you dead? Or more and more every day? H? Hi. Favorite food? I really love honey walnut shrimp. Shrimp in general is always a go-to for me. What's your opinion on Lego Bionicle? I think I liked it when I was a kid. I don't even know if it's still a thing today. Sorry, Zesty. Do you like me? I love you. All of you. No homo. What other games do you like, and do you plan on making videos on them? I've got quite a few games, and I plan on making videos on at least a few of them. And hey, this Q&A is so old now that, apparently my getting drunk while playing Doom video was still in production at the time I was writing this. I am so on time with this. See, part of me really wants to do a lot more variety content, but then another part of me doesn't even know what to make, really. Because it's like, I don't have that gift that people like Star and Germa have, where they can just hop into any game no matter how shitty it is, and just have an absolute blast playing it, and make a really entertaining video out of it. At least I don't think I have that gift. We'll see once I start streaming more non-TF2 games. Do you play any other game genres besides FPS games? Simulation games like Zoo Tycoon, survival horror, some adventure games, platformers, 2D and 3D, but yeah, FPS is the majority. What are your opinions on Overwatch? It never looked like my thing, and considering where the game's balance has apparently gone according to what I've heard some people say, I'm glad I didn't start. Most played games except TF2? I know I hit 1,000 hours on my old Pokemon Pearl cartridge. Other than that, I must have played through the first 2 Ratchet & Clank games and the first 3 Sly Cooper games 100 times as a kid. And other than that, probably Zoo Tycoon. You've mentioned playing Pokemon before. What's your favorite starter? Torterra. He's my boy. Favorite legendary? Kyogre. And favorite outside of those categories? I really like Beedrill, Pyukumuku, Volcarona, Snom, and Poliwrath. Poliwrath mostly because I do a lot of Nuzlocke and he has been absolutely insane in those. And Pyukumuku and Snom because they're very cute. Alright, and now we're moving on to questions revolving around just YouTube. What inspired you to make TF2 content? Was it the same driving force behind Bad Weapon Academy? I started making TF2 content because I play a lot of TF2, and I thought it would be a waste if I didn't do something with all that time I spent on it. As for Bad Weapon Academy, that just came from me figuring out how to use the classic and wanting to show people how to do so too. I'm not even sure if I planned for it to be a full series, and definitely not something that would grow as big as it has. What inspired you to make a YouTube channel? Seeing funny people do the same thing when I was younger. Took about 13 years, but it's finally paying off. Do you plan to do non-TF2 content? If so, I'd probably watch it. No you wouldn't. Judging by the views my non-TF2 content has gotten, no you wouldn't. I apologize, that sounded bitter. And it was, but you know. I like making non-TF2 content, but it's like, this is basically my job now, this is my primary source of income, and the non-TF2 videos do not get views. They just don't. They hover around like single-digit thousand views, which is, it's just not enough to justify the time that I might spend on them. I spent about as long on my Doom video as I did making a Bad Weapon Academy episode, and people just didn't watch it. And here's the thing, I get that, you know, it's not what people subscribe for. That video was like an hour and 20 minutes long. Like, you know, it's a lot to ask people to just switch over to a new kind of content. Like, hey, you like me for me, right? When I've been not at all personable on this channel so far. It's a tough situation, but what can you do? Will you ever return to doing creepypasta reviews on your main channel? Do you still talk to the bad creepypasta gang, or do you want to leave all that stuff behind? God, the script is so fucking old that my Halloween review of the Rake movie was recent at the time I wrote this. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, now I've written a script for a Tales doll video. I've got that recorded, I got the audio edited, and I sent that off to a volunteer editor. And I'm just waiting on him to get back to me at the moment. I'm definitely going to be keeping the creepypasta content going until at least the Happy Appy review. I owe the fans of the channel that much since I've been promising it for so long. As for bad creepypasta, I still talk to Jacob fairly frequently since we're in a Discord chat together. How do you get customized Tf2 characters and thumbnails? I learned to use Source Filmmaker just to make thumbnails. It's harder than it looks. Funk did a really nice tutorial showing how it's done that I always go back to when I'm stuck. How do you feel about your main channel being overtaken by your side channel? Do you feel bad that your main channel isn't doing as good, or did you expect this? It's definitely strange and unexpected, but I don't feel upset about it. I understand that creepypasta reviews are extremely niche, and I like the small, dedicated community I have supporting me on that channel. I do, however, feel a bit bad about neglecting them for a while since I've been hard focusing on here to keep the momentum alive. Will you consider this channel your main channel now? I mean, if you'll upload less on FishStickOnAStick and more to this channel. I still don't consider this my main channel since I didn't start with it, but I am currently prioritizing this channel and especially Bad Weapon Academy, as they just make money that I really need right now. When's Happy Appy? Someday. What YouTubers do you look up to for inspiration? Lazy Purple, Ross Scott, Uncle Dane, Demolition D, and of course Bad Creepypasta. Real top of the line guys, all of them. Would you play with subs one day? I wish I could play with you. Maybe. If I need you guys to populate a community server that has a custom map on it, then I might just do that. What other ideas for series do you have? I'm planning on doing a couple videos on defending some more underrated or underappreciated weapons, like the Ambassador, the Scottish Resistance, or the Pain Train. But other than that, I haven't really got too many ideas. I've got a lot of weapon reviews, certainly. Germa vs. Star. Who wins? I don't know, but I certainly know that a lot of people want to see this happen. Are you worried you'll end up getting the Soundsmith treatment? As in, once you start doing more variety content, are you afraid you'll face major backlash? I don't think backlash is the right word for it so much as complete apathy. Like, on the few variety videos I have done, I haven't gotten, like, mean comments exactly. I mean, I've gotten a couple of them, but they're usually pushed back to the bottom of the comment chain or whatever. It's mostly just, people don't watch them because they don't care. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I have to deal with that. I mean, if I get even bigger in the future and then try to pull that shit again, then maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. What made you start making videos about creepypasta? Literally because I was just thinking about how awful Jeff the Killer was one day, and I asked some people in a creepypasta thread if they'd read a big dumb rant on it. And a couple people asked me to make that into a YouTube video. So I did. Do you like your current position on YouTube? It's pretty incredible. I mean, I never thought I'd get this high. I'd obviously like to aim even higher, but if it stays this way, I'd be decently satisfied. And that is all the questions. Getting through that took longer than I thought in more ways than one. Thank you all so much for sending your questions in, and I'll see you for the next video and the next sub goal. Until then.